COVID is in a really interesting place because it's, as far as the virus, it's still doing what it's doing. It's still the same issue. Now, it became very politicized, and we've talked about that on the show a lot, where we begged people to wear a mask here, and we almost dedicated an entire episode to why people aren't wearing the mask. How has it become this Republican, this conservative versus Democrat, this liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat, red, blue, donkey, elephant? How has it become this? It's just a virus. We've said you don't hear strep throat getting politicized. You don't hear the flu being a part of someone's presidential campaign. And somehow this virus has become that. It's really more of the same now. It's more of the same of wear a mask or don't wear a mask. The numbers are skyrocketing. And we're seeing people flat out ignore it and flat out try and debunk it instead of just wearing the mask or staying home. And, I was in a conversation last weekend with some friends, and we were talking about the coronavirus, and we were bringing up, I was kind of talking about the same things I talk here on the show where, I want to just be real about this thing. I think the conversation, if it goes more than about 2 sentences, it is really too much. The conversation should be, hey, just wear a mask. Hey, do your social distancing. The conversation really shouldn't be like, hey, what about these numbers? Hey, what about people saying this isn't real? Hey, what about the death rate? Hey, what about this? And following that, I read this really interesting report about why they believe that America is struggling so much with the coronavirus. Some places in the world, like New Zealand, have completely eradicated the virus. New Zealand reported 0 cases. They are COVID-19 free. And the report was talking about just kind of the societal expectations of these places. What makes these places tick? And does what makes America tick, I have a feeling that grammar was really bad, does what make America tick somehow kind of lead towards a negative of how it responds to the virus? And when you think about America, right, what are some of the things that makes America America? It's always the individual, right? This individual opportunity, this idea that you're always in control. You are always in power of you. The individual is celebrated in America more than anywhere else in the world. The individual has all the power. One person can make huge changes. Everyone has the right to speak. Everyone has the right to their own thoughts. Everyone is the navigator of their own ship. That's not really what it's like in a lot of other places, for better or for worse. A lot of places are community driven, and a lot of places put the community first. Now, I don't want that to get mixed up with, some weird communism kind of thing, because you get a few of those words mixed up, all of a sudden you're part of a collective. And anytime you're part of a collective, not good at all. But America highlights those things. I mean, it's kind of funny, but the like the super stereotypical America, there's like the Hollywood, the pomp and circumstance, all that, the stuff that gets glamorized in movies and TV shows. That really is kind of only in America where you see that. And I think that kind of idea is a huge problem with COVID and a huge problem of what you're seeing around you in COVID. There was recently a video that compared how America's handling the mask to, and I'm talking about the medical mask, not the blockbuster movie with Jim Carrey, but how America's handling the mask versus how like Korea handles the mask. And they showed video clips and news clips of both. In Korea, everyone's just wearing the mask per usual. They're walking around. It's not a big deal. They interviewed people and they were like, hey, why are you wearing a mask? And they would say, well, droplets is how you get the disease or the virus. We don't want it. If we wear the mask for a few weeks, hopefully it'll be gone. It's my duty as an individual to help the community and to help the cause. I don't want to get people sick. And they would splice that with videos of Americans who are storming around and violently protesting and just throwing these huge fits with the mask, saying that it's killing them, how it's against their freedoms.
I I'm not a sex slave that wears masks.
You literally cannot mandate somebody to wear a mask knowing that that mask is killing people.
Look at all of these sheep that are here, all wearing this mask. It's actually dangerous for them.
How they won't do it. They'd rather die. How it's fake. How there's a higher power at play here. And it was very interesting to see the two, the dynamics. And when I really sat back and thought about it, it made a lot of sense. Because I'm hearing a lot of that from people who don't wear the mask, people who even don't want to believe in COVID. I'm hearing a lot of people saying things like, "Oh, it's my bachelorette party, it's my wedding, it's my birthday, it's my July 4th. I still want to do that. I'm not going to let this get in the way of my good time. I'm not going to let this get in the way of my party. I'm not going to let this get in the way of my whatever." And they go and do it. I mean, this is something that, as I thought about it, and especially with stuff we've talked about on the show, I couldn't help but be like, oh, well, that's exactly true. That's exactly it. That's exactly right. I mean, I know people who have COVID and are still going out and partying and still going out and doing things because they don't want to miss whatever it is. And it seems like that is the thing that's working against us the most, is this idea of individual over community. And, it's kind of funny because it's like, it's almost karma or something, where America has succeeded in every single aspect of every single thing for the entirety of time, and now that, like, what made America what it was, the foundation of what it was, and what made people here so different than other people, that individual component is right now making us look like the laughing stock of the earth right now. I heard somebody say that America is to the rest of the world right now what Florida is to America. And it was kind of, tongue in cheek. And I know this sounds right now like a lot of America bashing. And I obviously don't want to come off like that. I love America more than anybody. I'm all for the United States. I'm very proud of where I'm from, and I think it's the greatest country in the world. Absolutely no doubt about it. But right now, I think is one of the worst black eyes on the country. And it is embarrassing when you see, when I see videos of people protesting and getting upset and crying about the mask while our numbers skyrocket. It is embarrassing when I see people, going out and funneling beers, partying, knowing they have COVID, instead of just staying home and protecting people. It's really kind of affected how I look at other people. It's really affected how I look at groups of people and whatnot that live around me. I know groups who I've seen throughout this whole process who haven't even thought about social distancing, quarantining, all that stuff. And as weird as it sounds and dramatic as it sounds, when I look at those people, it's like, well, how can I possibly trust you to make a good decision? Or how can I possibly trust you to have a long-term plan? Or I obviously, you're obviously being as selfish as possible, And again, I'm not talking about, going to an outdoor function with 10 people or 15 people. July 4th, it was raining July 4th, but like Memorial Day weekend or something, I was at a pool with family, probably 8 of us there, and it was fine. We were outdoors. It was an outdoor pool kind of thing. Maybe 8 to 10 people. It was fine. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who are going out in these large parties, look like it's just spring break all over again, and they're passing around bottles of Fireball or playing, beer pong or whatever they're doing, funneling, stuff like that. And it's like, those people are just letting me know, and then documenting it and posting it and all of that. It's one thing if you do it. It's another thing if you document it and post it. It's like, to me, it's almost like a scarlet letter or something, where I look at those people like, oh, you're one of the people who I saw doing this, And I just think that it's a really interesting kind of look at why we're struggling. Because there's no doubt we are struggling. There's absolutely no doubt America right now is struggling compared to a lot of the rest of the world, where they seem to have it under control, and we just can't do that. And maybe it is a reflection of our country, and not just our country as far as what I was talking about, but also the fact that we're so polarized. Trump being president or even if you go back a little bit when Obama was president, we have had these incredibly polarizing figures who have created this divide between people. I mean, like back in the day, you could be a Republican and believe some, Democratic policies. You could be a Democrat and believe some Republican things. Now it's closer to like a civil war than it is two political parties. It's closer right now to which side are you fighting for versus what do you believe in. I mean, like to say, and I've said on this platform a billion times, I voted for Trump and plan on voting for Trump again, but I don't really like Trump. Like I think Trump has done kind of a bad job in this sphere of this virus. I think what he says a lot of the time is kind of ridiculous, and I think that he could be he leaves a lot to be desired. I feel like that's really rare now, is to be able to say, yeah, well, I believe some of these Democratic things, but also vote Republican, or vice versa. Now it's like, if you're a Republican, you're buying guns and ammo and blocking off your house, and you're, in like a doomsday situation. And then if you're a Democrat, you're having sex changes and, all hell's breaking. Like, there is no middle. And I think that's another reason why we can't just get on the same page, is that even a virus, right? Even a virus where it's, hey, can we all just kind of come together here and like for 2-3 weeks, just kind of quarantine up, wear a mask, it's not a big deal. And what happens? You got half the people running a conspiracy theory with the mask, saying that the government's putting on the masks so that they kill people, and the mask is somehow like poisoning people. Then you have the other side who aren't leaving their house at all, and they're in a total bubble, and they believe that COVID is like a Chinese biological warfare thing that's been sent over here so that Big Pharma can collect money. It is nuts, So it's just a great mirror of kind of what's going on here. And that's a lot of me just spitballing these ideas and kind of theorizing of what's going on. But when you really look at it, it's an interesting reflection of how we are as a people right now, where we can't even get this virus right.